psychologist phones, you're gonna think that's it. A fanboy, I know. Cop was purposely escalating though. Yelling at a cop isn't against the law. They're in the wrong here. Institutionalized. Cop is. Why do you think the cop is purposely escalating? I want to finish the clip. But like, why do you think they're purposely escalating?
BotRix has successfully joined the channel.
No, how is he escalating? I know it, but I'm just waiting to hear it. Using pronouns, yeah, of course. How is that escalating? How's that escalating? He knows the crazy person's bad that goes with him. That's his problem. If this asked him all how shocked you, and then not called popular, and then they had a mental down not being popular, escalate the event. If they refuse to call them popular. So, number.
Won't be shy.
No, it's not a problem. They could just ignore them, right? The verse originally about some kids. It's so. I just let you go back. It's now we're
Who you
back to my original. Police officer is not escalating by refusing to call a suspect. How escalating at this? How is reasonable not want to do, but not use gender? I'll wait. I want to finish the video, okay? Professional attack. Not professional law. Wait, I don't want to derail too much. Wait for one. But like you said, try to be polite with me. Not his problem. It's not exactly his fault because of action. You have a responsibility over your own behavior. Can't be behavior. Can't be society. Can't be a person that's out. Can't behave properly in. I think that everybody understands the absurdity of how you, as a main character, y'all and the absurdity of that. But somehow, when you apply that absurdity to gender, that now this is no longer acceptable. The reality that both parents identify as something a biological, not Count Chocula, and that's it. On the not and this values is unfair. It's basically you're saying that have to comply, and you have to compel language. Able system. I think that's range. And at the end of the day,
Hello and welcome to a new video. This time we are doing our second tier list for Project Epoch, the upcoming Classic Plus Survival.
valuation of anything. Never objective. If somebody is odd, like that's subjective. But this subjective person that identify themselves as the officer of the idea, you can. I think that because they see the person's name, they know. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. You can see this person's kind of crazy. Why? So just talking him to the police station, being mean. I trick her. Reality. I don't become reality where you have to treat people like an insane nutball. And great jacket and you don't have to make those. I want people. I don't want. I'm accountable to these people. They're a threat to society. You don't tolerate insanity? Yeah, you don't need to accommodate them. Anyway, sorry. Enough nonsense. Oh, no. Oh my god! Hey, you're worried about being misgendered whenever you're being arrested? Stand behind your back.
What can I do for you?
Uh-huh.
Light be with you.
Standing. Aha, right. I'm gonna spray him. I'm gonna spray him. Hey, fine. I'm gonna spray her. Thank God this cop is based. Holy, the cop is amazing. I want to see every cop actor. Me too. Amazing. Wow. I think this might be my favorite police officer alive, and I really have to say that folks, nothing out this lazy. These are in front of his face. You say something happened? Again? Best cop ever. Look at it. Do it. Do it. Absorbing it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ox. Jesus. Might be my favorite videos of God. Air department? Big misunderstanding. Go back. No. You. Oh my god. Dude, this guy's gotta get like a commendation. This is a patriot. That's a patriot right there. Wow. This gendering is escalation. Oh my god. Medal of Honor? Holy shit. They pushed my buttons. Let me ever let it. There are so many people who are like this.
I will help Mickey Rourke pay off all his loans. I heard what people were saying, that he would rather borrow money from friends than accept donations. Honestly, when I saw the crowdfunding news, I was furious. Not at his team, although they're clueless as rocks, but at the situation itself. To make his fans, ordinary people who might only earn a few $100 a week, pay his rent, that's more humiliating than letting him sleep on the street. He spent his entire life's earnings on rehab and supporting his ex-wife. So when he said, "I'd rather go steal," I understood. That wasn't anger, it was shame. I'll have my team coordinate with his people to properly handle the refunds so fans aren't harmed and he isn't burdened by this anymore. I know that in the past few days, new movie offers have already started coming to Mickey. Of course, I've also sent him a collaboration invitation, hoping we'll have the chance to work together again. I will help Mickey Rourke pay off all his loans. I heard what people were saying, that he would rather borrow money from friends than accept donations.
This is such a dumb, annoying quest.
Let me ask you, so the solutions.
Yeah, solution.
Are the solutions, okay, as a society, we need to determine what is exemplary, and that is not, right now, the course is go to college, be independent from a man because you don't want to be trapped, become a working professional, establish yourself, right? So I'm assuming that the solution is the opposite of that. And then what would be the solution to the next one of...
So you start with propaganda. We've been kind of led to believe that bottom-up propaganda is the way, that it needs to be organic. No, it doesn't. You need top-down propaganda like you had in World War II. The same way you got women in the factories with Rosie the Riveter is the same way you get them in the household with, like, you know, Susan the housewife, right? And that's the propaganda that's everywhere. The glorification is of Susan the housewife, you know what I mean? Who has the little like thing of cookies and she's always smiling and she's always super happy and her husband's always, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you make that the trend everywhere and you force it down everybody's throat all day long, every day, where it becomes practically ingratiated in them. That's what you elevate in society. You don't even have to outlaw anything. It's not even necessary. Like, you don't even have to be like, well, you can't, you know, do X behavior. If you had a glorification program top down, just like you do for government propaganda and warfare, it would work beautifully. You don't even need to tell women they can't go to college. You just make the propaganda all about the family unit. And that's the thing the government's supporting. That's the thing we're pushing for as a society. That's the patriotic thing to do.
So basically, exactly how society was before 1960.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they need a good maybe a better mascot like Smokey the Mama Bear. Only you can prevent burnt casserole, some shit like that. You know, we'll work on it.
Yeah, sure.
We'll sort of we'll whiteboard it. And the second issue of women who, you know, find themselves in the position where, okay, I've slept with this very attractive, very wealthy guy, and so they're under this delusion that that's their marriage material and it ruins other men. How do you solve that issue? Do we kill all the rich, attractive men?
This is the more controversial take. The first one's much more easy to demonstrate and prove because we have 200 years of propaganda from the top down, which shows Philip Morris can definitely get the country to smoke, okay?
Yes.
We can definitely prove that propaganda works.
And he was
the second, well, it wasn't even Philip Morris, it was the ad guy, but he did that for multiple things.
In my mind, he's Jim Carrey, so that's the extent of my knowledge. But by the way, people will say that that's offensive, and comment below why you think that what he just said is outlandish and offensive, because it is easily verifiable. That is what we did as a society, and not just American society, European society. You can go back to, for crying out loud, medieval society. Up
and
until
when everybody smoked, nobody was fat. I just pointed out, when everybody smoked, nobody was fat because it was an appetite suppressant.
Yes.
And by the way, you know, most people who smoke never get lung cancer. 90% plus don't get lung cancer. And they have heart attacks because they're fat.
Thank God we're on Rumble and not on YouTube, because that would be fighting words. Like, you advocated tobacco use. Correct. It also makes you look really cool.
It does. It does. So anyway, yeah, it was a way better society when everybody smoked, trust me. It was way better. It was appetite suppressant. It was a great way to greet your friends. It was fantastic. It all up. But anyway, the point is, back to this though, the second can only be belayed with Christian ethics. So the idea of part of this propaganda that you would want to put out is the idea of virtues for women. And you could teach virtues for women inside of classrooms, right? Just like we used to teach virtues for women, same way we used to teach virtues for men. Here's male virtue, right? Here's what men are expected in society. Here's what you're expected to do. Here's what you're expected not to do. Well, one big key of female virtue is what? Chastity. It's chastity.
Yeah.
So if you're reinforcing chastity, you never get put in the position where you're sleeping with a good-looking guy pre-marriage, right? So you're ruined, right? But you have to start that young. That's a way harder thing to get into the mainstream, the idea of virtues, what are feminine and what are masculine virtues being pushed at a young age. That's what the entire movement was about, was the abolishment of virtues, masculine and feminine virtues, to blend them into the idea that all of these virtues are simply universalized. None of them are specific to the sexes. But here's why they have to be specific to the sexes. Because if men are promiscuous, it actually does less harm to society than if women are. I know that seems like unfair, right? But it's true. It actually does less damage.
Also doesn't mean you're advocating for promiscuity.
No, the opposite.
No, I always want to make that clear.
Yeah, men should
he says that men should bang bitches and bitches should be virgins.
No. Both need to have that as a virtue, right? But if women aren't chaste, it creates significantly higher problems than if men aren't chaste.
Well, there's not the problem of paternity.
Yeah, or reproduction, or the problem of the revolting factor. So the reason men have such a revolting factor when it comes to high body count, very promiscuous women, is because that's how we assured paternity through chastity. So paternity tests are a modern invention. I don't know if people remember this or not. Yeah. So how did you know if the kid that the woman was having was yours? Well, because she was only f***ing you, right?
Right.
That's the only way you could assure paternity. So if you want to know why men get revolted by high body count women, it's actually ingrained inside of men. That's how we assured our prodigy and paternity.
Can I ask you a question, though? And this is one thing, because I agree with everything that you just said. How much level of pushback, though? For example, we showed your clip, Nick DiPaolo was on the show. And Nick DiPaolo's been married for a very long time. People see him as this he's one of the roughest comedians ever lived. He's also a Family Guy. I don't know if he'll get mad at me because I'm destroying his rep. He's pretty boring. Like, he's not a guy on the road snorting off a lady's hip bones. He's a guy who go back, watches ESPN, calls his lady. But he said, I don't think a lot of guys. He's like, when I was young, I don't think a lot of guys want that. They're not thinking about a woman having kids. Like, they want to bang as many broads as possible. There's a huge contingency of guys out there who are outside of sort of this quote unquote red pill sphere. How much pushback do you think what percentage of men do you think would be on board with what you're proposing?
Well, here's the flaw in his argument. He's right? That, of course, most men would prefer to sleep with as many women. Oh, I'm shocked. Yeah.
Is there a study for this?
They want to go nail a bunch of child, you know? But here's the counter argument. It's really simple. Most can't. And that's it. That's all you need to know,
that's sad
right?
For them.
So ultimately, most men can't do that. So if you think that most men wouldn't prefer to settle down with a woman and have kids, right? They would, because most of them are simply not capable of bagging tons of chicks. They're not even capable of doing it. But most women are capable of bagging basically as many men as they want.
So
right?
basically disabuse both sexes of this fantasy.
Yeah.
Solution. Disabuse men of this fantasy, even though we agree it's immoral, this fantasy of bagging a bunch of broads. But like, look, that's not likely. Also, here's why it's not good long term.
Yeah.
And disabuse women of the notion, hey, this idea that you're going to get white knight, Prince Charming, multi-millionaire, 6'3" six-pack is also not realistic.
But here's the thing. It's like, do you remember DARE? That stupid-ass program in the 90s, DARE to keep kids off drugs. Did you ever see that?
Oh, I still have never fried an egg.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is your brain, this is your brain on drug. Don't tell me that shit wasn't effective at keeping kids off drugs. It was.
Yeah.
It was. They definitely remembered, right?
Yeah.
Remember because the girl was cute? It was Rachel Lee Cook.
How was that not propaganda? That was 100% propaganda, right? And now half of it wasn't even true, right? It's like, hey, you're going to smoke. You're going to be snorting. Right? It's like, no, that really wasn't true. You're going to drink a beer and then you're going to. But the idea,
true for me, but not for
the idea for the propaganda though that worked was that a lot of people were like they had an aversion to drug use, but what it did was it created a culture where people who did it were considered nefarious. They were considered like, you need to be away from me. You're part of like a more nefarious crowd, a bad crowd, right? Yeah. And you need to be over there. Well, that's what reinforcement of virtue really is.
Yep.
It's saying this idea of these activities are nefarious, and you need to kind of keep it away from me. It needs to be, and the same thing would happen with the pushing or promotion of chastity. It would be the same exact thing. Oh, you guys are out there having a bunch of promiscuous sex. That's as nefarious to us as your massive drug abuse, right?
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing, and it's like, you can't tell me it doesn't work because, man, all I've ever seen is these programs work.
Yeah.
To huge success.
But just for people who take umbrage with the term propaganda, there's always propaganda. So if you think that the two mommies, with the girl joining the army is not propaganda, then you're only fooling yourself. Right now, the propaganda has been that women can have it all. That you have all these choices available and they don't lead to different outcomes as far as the timing. It's just not true. So if we're going to have propaganda, and you will, no matter what, I could also just sort of describe it as having an example, having an ideal, then what's best for society.
Well, I was going to say, this goes back to kind of the Christianity. We flipped these things, and I think they realize that they have to go after that duty that we identified, like having children. And the Barbie movie, the very beginning of it was them smashing their baby dolls and going into the workforce essentially and like saying, I'm going to run away from that. So it's that underpinning where it's like, you don't value that anymore. You value a career. And so all of these choices that you get to make now, don't worry about getting a husband, don't worry about doing this. All of these choices now lead to that. The problem that I think we have is, how do we convince women? And look, I use the same argument from, that is not where life is found according to Scripture. That is not where happiness is found in Scripture.
You don't need to convince women.
No, I'm just saying.
The opposite.
Well, I think they're finding out the reality of it now, but pop culture still tells you, go and shake what you have and get what you can. Go and be on Only. Go and do all of these things. Like, pop culture may take a while to catch up, essentially, to what we're seeing in culture, but we've got to make some big structural changes.
To convince women. Women are going to go, so women are the most easily indoctrinated, most easily propagandized out of the sexes, okay? Every single study you look at will tell you this. They're the most easily influenced, right? That's why all the marketing and is towards women, because they buy shit that is insane.
That's because of the pink tax.
Yeah, exactly. It's the pink tax. Yeah. So the thing is,
buy a black razor.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the idea here, essentially, is, I mean, he's right? Pink razors, you charge a premium for, because women will buy it. Why? Because it's pink, right? It's sparkly.
It's got a glide strip.
But what it really is Susan down the road has one.
Yeah.
Okay, and if Susan has it, she's pretty awesome. The other girls like what Susan's doing, so I'm going to do the same thing. They're the easiest when it comes to propaganda. Men, much, much harder. And here's what we have to deal with. Leftist men, they are the ones who benefit from feminism more than anybody else. The idea for disgusting leftist subhuman men that they can like have with multitudes of women, they love that shit. They think it's great. Like, this is fantastic. Just imagine you're a secular person. You have no ethical code whatsoever. You don't have any moral standing whatsoever. And you're like, it's an all-you-can-eat fucking buffet, right?
And we'll tell them it's liberation.
Yeah, it's liberation. Yes. We're liberating you. I'm on your team, honey. Now, my dick, right? So it's like, it's not a joke, though, right? You think a Coomer gremlin like Destiny would ever in a million years, if he didn't have, $2 million in the bank and a bunch of YouTube fame, ever fuck any of these chicks? Yeah, right. They would literally scrape this off their shoe. They'd walk by. They wouldn't even give this guy a second glance or a third. It's not even
really a first, I don't think.
It's not even a matter of charisma. You can't help what you're attracted to.
Right.
You know what I mean? You think
so?
Warren
You think we have to
was helping this guy because of how good looking he was? It's like, give me a fucking break with this shit.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So you think we need men? Men need to kind of lead the way. So how do men do that? Because
give them a mission.
You're giving kind of these. It seems like you're just observing what is. You're saying it. In fact, you'd probably be more on women's side than people would give you credit for. Like, hey, again, to that argument, that's not where life is found. You're not going to find happiness there. This is what it's supposed to be like. And it makes everybody happier. Trust me. Don't sacrifice this gift from God to chase a career that could suck or anything else in life.
It's funny when you say you're probably more on women's side. It's actually ironically hilarious. Did you ever see the movie They Live?
Yeah, with the glasses.
Yeah, the glasses. So he has the glasses. He puts them on, and the billboard said something like, Snapple, and he puts the glasses on, and it says like, obey, right? And then he puts the glasses on, and he looks over here, and it's like, do what we tell you. You know what I mean? This type of thing. It's like, unironically, I want that society, right? And but the reason I do is because I think liberation has women.
Yeah,
that's liberation that has women, and it's men. I want to break men out of the chains more than anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Women will end up initially resisting, but convincing women has not traditionally worked.
I sort of present it sometimes this way to people is, okay, now there are always outliers. You have to say not all, not all, not all. Okay, as a general rule, get rid of the alcoholic father, who comes home and he's mad that you burnt the casserole, and so he locks you, change you to a loom or something to make you knit him a sweater without a break. All right, take those guys out of it, and let's also take the awful bosses out of it, like the boss from the Dinosaur sitcom. Okay, let's assume they're both within that sort of bell curve of moderately decent men. All right, who do you believe has your better interest at heart? The decent husband? Not perfect, or even the decent boss? Because that's your choice. other words, if you're going to be yoked to something,
Yeah.
if you're going to, you are serving a master ultimately with a boss. That is the relationship. And so even if you view it as serving a master, right? If he's the head of the household, who would you rather serve? The boss or the husband? Which one cares about you more? Because it is a binary choice.
Yeah, well, like I said, convincing women, the reason it hasn't traditionally worked is because when I think of convincing, I think of logic and reason. If I'm going to convince you, I'm going to use logical arguments, and then I'm going to hope that your reason, right, that you use inductive reasoning to look at the logical argument and you backtrack it, right? You take it back to its original, wherever its core was, and then you move it forward and go, does that make sense or not? Well, you can do that with women, and they'll even agree with you and then dismiss it, because you have to think of it from the purview of their sex. They have raging hormones going on all the time, which makes their brains actually erratic, right? They often will do things, by their own admission, that don't make any fucking sense because they have these raging hormones going on in their body. Now, every man right now who's going, well, I'm not sure about this, get back to me after your wife's had a period. You know what I mean? Like, just stop. Just stop.
My wife has said it. My sister has said it. Just for everybody out there, like she said, I don't know why I'm crying right now, but I am.
I am.
You know what I mean?
Okay?
Like that's a common example of it. So.
But here's what works. What works is propaganda, because if some of the sisterhood moves towards the propaganda because it's trendy, right, the rest of them move towards that. Men don't work that way. So men we can convince with logic and reason and good arguments, right? And as long as they're at the top of the hierarchy in the public sector, which they still are, we can enforce this through law. The idea of law enforcement, though, being the idea of propaganda, not necessarily putting laws against specific behaviors. You don't even need to do that. Stigma works better. Stigma actually works better if you start at a young age than even putting a law on the books.
Chuck, can you get your age and who you voted for?
Yeah, I'm 42. I voted for Trump.
What did you want to say?
Well, but did you want to know why I voted for him, or do you have specific inquiries there?
Why do you still support him today?
Oh, why I still support him? Yeah, I think generally speaking, his policies align with the same types of policies that I want to see for the country. There's some that I disagree with, but there's many of them that I still do agree with. I'm especially thrilled about net negative migration. I think net negative migration is great.
It's bad for the economy, though.
Well, it depends on which metric you want to use. If it's the case, so I guess here would be my argument. I would agree with the left to a degree that if you downsize the amount of migrants coming into the nation, that is necessarily going to reduce GDP. It's going to reduce, basically our gross domestic product overall. On the other hand, though, it does depress wages having mass migrants come in. So there's an offset there. And I think that the nation itself is allowed to determine if they want to have mass migration or not. And they put Trump in there because they did not want to have it.
How do they decrease wages?
Depress, not decrease. Depress.
How?
Well, it's just supply and demand. If there's 15 people who are all willing to do the same job versus 2 people willing to do the same job, the 2 people have more bargaining power than the 15 people. That's all.
Barda, this is Andrew Wilson again.
Yeah, Andrew. I know it's Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, but I'm not. Am I starting trouble here or something? Or
no.
Okay.
Did something happen to your YouTube?
No, his YouTube's up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna pull up his stream because I wanted to verify. I thought it was Andrew, but
yeah.
There's studies that show that they increase.
I never start trouble on these panels. I always follow the terms of service.
Oh, I know you don't. You've been up here before and you were fine, but it was you were talking about like something that wasn't Trump related, so we kicked you last time.
Okay.
But I was going to say, there's studies that show that they increase wages.
Well, we're not talking about wages increasing or decreasing. We're talking about wages being depressed or not depressed. Or suppressed, I'm sorry, not depressed.
Explain that distinction to me. I guess I don't understand.
So, like, theoretically, you could have 30 people who make, I don't know, $30 an hour or something like this. and you could add more people, and they continuously make $30 an hour, potentially, and then you could have another subset that only makes $15 an hour. It's the same amount of people. What we're talking about, though, is bargaining power. If less people are moving into a single job, right, they're going to have more bargaining power. That's the point. So they have more. That's all it's stating. It is possible you could even have wages.
They're moving
increase.
into lower level. They're moving into lower level jobs and creating higher level jobs for Americans. I don't think that's depressing wages.
What do you mean? I don't even know what does that mean? Like, they're moving into the same kinds of jobs Americans would be doing ordinarily.
Lower level jobs, and then they're creating demand for higher level jobs.
What are you talking about? I'm trying to follow what you're talking about.
They take lower level jobs, which in turn helps the companies grow, and then when those companies grow, they can make more higher paying jobs for Americans.
Well, that's possibly true, but kind of beside the point. The point is that if there's 15 people who apply for a job versus 2 people who apply for a job, the negotiating power of the person who has 15 applicants has the negotiating power versus the 2 applicants, he has less negotiating power, right?
That could be true, but isn't that
I mean,
on
it just is true. Like, that just is true.
But isn't that on the company then to hire the better person?
Sure, but again, has nothing to do with my point.
So why are we mad at the immigrants? Why aren't we mad at the companies that are hiring them?
We're not mad at either of them. It's not a matter of being mad at anybody. We're just talking about whether or not you have more negotiating power the more people you have applying for a job. So if you have less people applying for the job, there's more negotiating power for the worker. That's the point. That's why, like, Democrats. That's why Democrats used to be very pro trade union and very anti-immigration, was because of this problem. They thought it hurt their collective bargaining rights, and they were right. It did. It hurts collective bargaining to have mass migration. There's no two ways about it.
But then I would say also that most Americans aren't applying for those jobs that immigrants end up taking.
That's the point, though, right? So
that
gives them
no matter what.
Well, now you're getting into you just made it up territory. There's not any jobs that just no Americans will apply for no matter what. That you just made that up.
It's not no Americans will apply for it, but it's disproportionately they don't want to.
Correct.
And so people have to rely on immigrant
labor. No. So if the fact of the matter is like, you're right that many Americans may not apply for these jobs, but the ones who do now have a much better chance of bargaining a good wage because there's so few of them who are applying.
I'm sorry.
Could it be argued? Oh, I'm sorry, Barta.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, couldn't it be argued that people can actually try to use their bargaining power to further their, to increase their wage because of the fact that they're not an illegal immigrant, that they're just like a U.S. citizen that like has like rights and stuff like that. Instead of being
the point from the trade union perspective. The reason they didn't want mass migration is because what they were terrified of is what used to happen on the railroads. Let's say you had, like Irishmen there working the railroad, and they were like, hey, the working conditions are terrible. This is awful. We are not going back to work until this improves. And the railroad would be like, that's fine. You're all fired. We're hiring Chinamen. That's the same thing that happens in corporate America now for a lot of these jobs that you're talking about, especially in agriculture. They're just like, well, that's fine. You don't like the wages, you don't like this, we'll just give it to illegal immigrants.
So, I mean, because that also happens with like visas, right? That's the reason why we have visas, and it's the reason why visas are even looked at through like a political lens now, and some are being revoked. But
they're overwhelmingly being revoked now. We're talking down,
right?
Yeah, overwhelmingly they're being revoked, and the point of this
is... But they weren't illegal. Those weren't like illegal positions, right? So it's not the symptom of the problem, is one thing, but it's not like we're talking about like the main
issue.
But
you're kind of making my point for me when you say, well, wait a second, now companies have the option to go to India and say, hey, we want a bunch of H-1B visas from Indian workers and we want them to come in. They can now displace the localized workforce through the H-1Bs. That's the entire point.
Right, but I don't understand what that. I don't think that has to do anything. That conversation's completely uncoupled. Not talking about the illegal immigrant, right?
No, they're coupled together. That's why I said negative migration, not just illegal immigration.
The way that I'm trying to talk about them. So, right, but the way that I'm trying to talk about them, if you're talking about because we could talk about illegal immigrants taking jobs and and doing
I'm not talking about
doing
illegal.
X, Y, and
Wait,
Z.
I'm not talking
Hold
about
on.
that though. I'm not talking about
Chuck,
illegal
what I'm saying is, what do you mean you're not talking
I'm talking about
illegal
net
immigration?
negative migration. There's a difference. Net negative migration.
We were just talking about illegal immigration.
No. We were talking about net negative migration. Remember, my position was that Trump falls in line still more with my ideology because he gave us net negative migration. It means there's actually more people leaving the country than entering overall.
Right, but once we were actually talking about illegal immigrants, what I tried to point out is that that something else happens to a different group of immigrants. Is that we welcome those immigrants mostly, not now actually because of what's going on. But the thing is it's not really about the illegal immigrants. If America is still able to outsource jobs from different places, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like I don't see how we're always using immigrants as scapegoats for every conversation.
We're not though. We're not using immigrants as scapegoats for every conversation. We're talking about real issues that Americans are facing. What I'm speaking about specifically is why it is that unions wanted to have collective bargaining, and they were always anti-mass migration to the U.S. It's because they knew that it hurt the collective bargaining rights of localized employees, and it does. And I demonstrated that. You guys know I demonstrated that. That's the whole point.
But Chuck, my question is like, you're talking about mass migration, right? And unions not being in favor of mass migration.
Yeah.
I could understand that. Like, we don't want 1 million people running across our borders a month, undocumented.
No,
without
documented
any
or
kind of
undocumented.
Valid. Okay. But my point is, right? Can you find me where unions just say straight up they don't want any migration at all?
No.
Because doesn't migration...
No, I mean, not
migration...
Yeah, not general.
Just real quick, John.
Hang on, let the guy
John,
finish. Let the guy finish.
John, if you don't mind. So my thing is, though, right? The more people that you bring into this country, the more consumption comes, right? Like, you can't talk about migrants as if they don't spend money here. We know they do, and you know that they do.
That's
right?
true. Yeah, I'm not disputing that.
So there's no way that unions, right, who want to make money in the end, would be against any migration at all.
I don't understand. Nobody made the claim that there may not be.
Yeah, but you're talking about mass migration,
can I
and I'm conceding to your point. I'm saying, unions don't want mass migration, okay?
Right.
But what if they want just migration, like a well-regulated immigration system?
I'll explain. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I'll even steelman it so you make sure I got it right. It's true that they'd probably be against mass migration, but they'd probably want at least some migration because those people will consume, and that'll be good for whoever the unions are a part of who are selling products, right? That's basically your argument? Is that correct?
Yeah, like you want a healthy population increase in the country, right?
Yeah, sure,
Like if you have...
But what
if you have a low birth rate, you want to replace that with immigrants, right?
Well, generally speaking, no. You generally want to raise the birth rate. You want to incentivize raising the birth rate. The only reason really that the incentivization program doesn't happen for raising the domestic birth rate is because you have easy access to cheap foreign labor. But unions used to be against that too, because again, it hurt collective bargaining. The reason why unions wanted to have birth rates high inside of the United States is because men who have families generally will stay at a job for a long, long period of time. And the reason is because of stability. So if men have children, they have families, they want stability, they tend to stay at one spot for much longer than single men do. And so even then, when you have a streamlined immigrant policy, you see heavy turnover even with immigrants because oftentimes they're single men. So even that policy is not great for the United States. You'd want to reverse that to where you have above replacement rates if you can.
Are you saying that the majority of migrants are single men?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I don't know if the majority are single men, but there's a lot of single men who come in. What I'm saying is that what a union would want, what the preference would be that you had men who have families, so they have stability, so they stay at a single job. That's the point.
That's interesting. Does any union have that written down anywhere in their mission or their bio or anything of the sort?
No, but you can find it in how it is that corporations and various companies actually deal with hiring practices. If you have a single man with the same exact skills as a married man, they'll often opt. Hang on. I'll show you the study if you want. They'll often opt for the married man. And the reason they opt for the married man at the same wage is because he's more likely to stay there long term.
Yeah, but
which
that
makes
doesn't
sense.
have anything to do with the unions, though, right? Because unions are a congregation of multiple people across all demographics.
That's
right?
true, but
Like you have a teachers union that is comprised of women, men, and people from all genders, races, and religions and creeds.
That's
right?
true.
Like I've been a part of a union. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to figure out why there's the assumption then that unions only prefer men who are married with children.
Well, I think you got to stop using the word only and smuggling that in. I'm talking here.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
More,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That is true. More, yes. So I'm talking in generalities here. The way that it works is just it basically works like this. If it's the case that you have a choice between hiring a married man or a non-married man for the same wage, and they have the same skills, companies will generally opt for the married man. The reason that unions would have the preference for married men is because if the longer a person's been at a job, especially collectively, the more they tend to be able to garner collective bargaining rights, right? So if you've been at a job for 20 years, you tend to end up being a union leader, or you tend to end up having the skill set which is necessary for your local union hall, whatever it is.
So
because you
is
have
the
go
assumption
ahead.
is the assumption that you're making at the current moment in time that married men stay in jobs longer than married women per se?
No.
Okay, because I'm just trying to figure out then why unions would prefer one of the other.
Well,
It sounds like anyone who may
I'm
be
sorry.
married and
Married
has a family
person.
that
I feel like you're just kind of splitting hairs. though.
married person? No, I think there's a clear distinction that needs to be made there, right?
Why?
When you say married men, I mean, I think everyone on this panel would agree there's a difference between saying married man, and married person.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Well, they would prefer married people either way. They would still even prefer married men over married women generally for, well, at least for most type of labor-informed jobs. And that's not just because the men may be more
Are
capable.
we talking about
Hang on,
jobs,
dude.
dude?
Can
Are
you
we
calm
talking
down
about
for a second?
union?
Let me finish.
Are we talking about
Talking
union
about
positions
unions
or
too.
jobs?
Talking about union positions too.
No,
And-
no, you're talking about both at the same time. I'm talking
Yeah.
about unions.
Okay, well, I'll just talk about unions then. So when we're talking,
we're having fun, Ralph.
All right, well, let me know when you want me to address it. Okay, you want me to address it? All right. So, if it's the case that you have a married woman, okay, generally speaking, hiring practices don't go through unions; they still go through companies, and then it's the case that the employee has the option of joining the union. So this is why I'm talking about the entry point and then the union itself. But I think that this really strays pretty far away from the point of why it would be that unions would want to have domestic populations have the best amount of collective bargaining and not have that suppressed by companies being able to turn to cheap labor. That's my point. Hello?
But when you talked about like incentivizing the birth rate in this country, how do you plan to do that?
Like how would I do it? Or what?
Well, just in general, because like obviously the birth rate is low for a reason, right?
Yeah, well, there's one key reason that is the strongest correlate, and then there's a bunch of sub-correlates under that. The primary reason the birth rate is low in basically all Western countries is because of women basically going to college, which opts their most fertile years for career.
Oh, Jesus Christ, bro.
So you just don't want women to get careers. And
Bro,
What?
you guys,
What do you
do
mean?
you guys know who Andrew Wilson is?
Most wallets still plug into the same system we were trying to escape in the first place. And that's why Rumble built Rumble Wallet. It's a self-custodial wallet that lives inside an ecosystem that actually defends free speech and financial freedom. No bank holding your balance, not even Rumble can touch your funds. This is your money, on your keys, on your terms. So if you're serious about sovereignty, financial and digital, this is where you level up. Go to wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in your app store, download it, back up your recovery phrase, and move your money where it belongs, in your hands.
Can we get back to the
Yes,
reason that
I would
you
like to, yes.
don't think women are as capable as men?
What? I didn't say, what are you talking? I didn't say any of that. I said the number one correlate for why the birth rate is depressed in most Western nations is because in the fertile years of women, they generally are pushed into higher education. Go ahead.
Can you just let me know what study you're referencing for that?
Yeah, sure. You can. In fact, I have it in front of me. Give me 1 second here. It's the Economics.
Yeah, I just wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's Economics of Education Review, Volume 88. It was published June 22nd, 2022. It's called The Effect of Female Education on Fertility. And what they did was they referenced evidence from China's compulsory schooling reforms so that they could actually make this determination. You can make this determination across most Western nations. The tie-in with industrialization and women moving into higher education, which essentially...
Who's this study by?
Can you calm down, man? This is the Economics of Education Review. So anyway, you can basically track it in almost all Western nations from industrialization on when women are moved into higher education. And it kind of makes sense if you logically think about it. If you go to college for 4 years after high school, chances are pretty good that you're going to finish college around, I don't know, 24, something in there. By the time you get your job education, you're usually more ready to settle down, have a family around 28, 29, 30. The average marriage age in the United States, I think, is about 28 or 29 now. So it's really high. So you're going to have less children if you begin having them at 28, 29, 30 than you would if you were 21, 22, 23, 24.
Who is the study by? I missed that part.
This is the Economics of Education Review.
Economics of Education Review.
You can find this.
And what?
If you want the author of the study is Jiwei Chen. You can also find this. Hang on, I'll give you another one as well. But the highlight here is our three estimates.
I just want to pull it up so I have it on
go
my
ahead.
side.
Our three estimates show that an additional year of female education significantly reduces the number of births by 0.24. So every year that women are in higher education actually reduces their overall fertility, which makes sense because they're aging forward.
But I mean, I agree with that, but
well, then why were you guys all laughing at me 5 seconds ago?
No, but why?
You're all laughing at me 5 seconds ago, and now you're awful quiet.
Because you're making this thing that women shouldn't go to school and they should just have kids.
That never happened. You just made it up. Why do you just make things up?
Then why are you arguing for the fact that they should not, or that they should just have babies?
No, it never. That never happened either. You just made it up.
But Chuck, this was your point. I think Yue was saying like, so what would you? What? Someone asked you, what would you do for like in regards to the the decline in the birth rate and the fertility rate in America? And then you brought that up as like a rebuttal.
No, what I was doing was I was talking about correlates which lead to lower birth rates and how I would address it.
All right, Chuck. How do you convince those women then to I don't know, decide to stay home and have children instead of go get a job and live within the economy that they currently have on their hands?
Okay, so
that's my question.
You're asking how.
So you want to change the birth rate, and I'm asking you, how do you do that? How do you convince those women between the ages of 20 and 24 to not go get a job after college and instead have children, right, and live in this economy we live in?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing that I would address is the subsidization of student loans, which are by their very nature. And they target women, which is why women are in so much debt, especially to student loans, because, I mean, I think they're the primary debt holder now of student loans. And so that's the first thing that I would do is I would say, look, a lot of times what's going on is a propaganda from the top down is you should go to college for 4 years and you should get a degree because it's going to give you an edge in the workforce. But actually, most of the degrees women are now getting are in oversaturated markets. Now, not all degrees, but most of them are in oversaturated markets. It doesn't actually give them an edge, and most of them, well, I don't know if it's most, but it's close to most of them at least, are not actually even working in the fields that they got their degrees in, and they owe a ton of student loan debt. So I wouldn't make any forcible decisions at all. I would just move propaganda the opposite way and say, hey, look, it's not the end-all, be-all.
What's your source on most women are getting degrees in oversaturated markets?
Yeah, take a look at what women get degrees in, their top degrees. A lot of them are in arts and sociology, and those are very saturated markets.
What's your source for this?
Yeah, what is the source for that? You can't just make an assumption and call it fact.
Because what I'm finding is that women are outpacing men in degrees in professional fields with higher demand.
That's only in
And I just-
healthcare, I think. I think that's only
Hey,
in
Chuck,
healthcare.
could I
This
ask
is
you-
overall.
Yeah,
I want
but
your
I
source.
think that's because it's banking on healthcare.
Is that what you think, or is that you have a source for it?
Yeah, hang on, I'll pull up the source for it. But I'm yes, that is
please.
what I think.
Yep.
But I also think it's going to.
Yeah, I know that's what you think because you're Andrew Wilson, but I want a source.
Well, I just gave you the last source, and you didn't even look at it.
I couldn't find it, and I couldn't get in a Word to actually pull it up.
Okay,
I looked at it. It was saying that it was talking about the economy, economic values or driving factors behind women and different classes and stuff like that. And one of the things is like, if you're, I hope Chuck's still pulling up the source, but one of the things was like men, in order to, what was it saying, that men who have, I have to go back to it. It was really interesting. Hold on one second.
It was interesting, but there are some limitations to it at the same time. Like, I think that, I don't know if it's generalizable to say that, the economy studied in China are going to have the same kind of response over here in the Western world.
Yeah, but that's true. But you also have to look at the global pattern of women's education versus fertility, and you can actually find this on if you go to Our World Data. It pulls this up and it talks about women's education attainment versus the fertility rate. This is one of the most studied phenomenons by nations because the fertility rate is in the toilet for almost every nation on planet Earth. In fact, that is the case.
Yes,
and this is the strongest correlate that they find.
I thought one of the things that they also found too, though, was like increased women's education reduced child mortality.
Yeah, that's probably true because there's less children born.
And
So that would do that.
and also
As a
resulted in-
percentage, Andrew, you know how this works.
Well,
Andrew.
if you said per
And
capita,
also-
that would
Don't be
be
disingenuous.
I'm not being
And
disingenuous.
hold on, and
How is that
also rendered healthier children and better matched because of the partners, right? So they were better family units.
Well,
And on top of that, there's also a parenting
What's up,
tactic
Roden?
that comes out of this, a parenting thing, apparently, or whatever it's called, where it's called quality over quantity. So although they have less children, those children are adequately loved, cared for, and taken care of, and have an actual better outcome in life.
but that's not really
As
what's
per
in
children
dispute.
who wind up.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
disputing
but
that.
but why do you not make any? Why do you not concede to any of the reality of good things that come from the research in which you read?
Well, you haven't even asked
only
me any of those
focus
questions.
On the things. Well, you only focus on the things that come out to what? A negative? Women are less fertile because
Well,
they're
no,
older?
not. Well,
Andrew,
well, hang
that's
on.
common sense,
Yeah,
right?
what's
I
common?
know
Calm
you're
down,
a
Chuck.
common sense
Well,
conservative,
let me know when I can
but
talk.
like that one's a little dull,
How?
right? We can
How?
all agree that women might be less quote unquote fertile. I
Yeah,
fucking hate
correct.
saying that.
But it's true.
Between the ages of 20 and
Andrew V.S.
or
Gorlo.
25 and 26 rather than 20 and 24 because time, right? It's
Yeah.
a thing that none of us will ever beat.
That's
Andrew,
correct. Yeah, I
you
agree.
know that. Everyone just gets older over time. But the
Do
thing
they?
that you
Do they?
forget,
Do people get
though,
older
is-
over time? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do,
Wow,
right?
that's
so,
very
you know,
insightful. You're a
sometimes
very
we
insightful
have,
guy.
Sometimes we have less of an ability to produce children as we get older, because
Yes, I
that's
agree.
just how our bodies work.
It
right?
is? Wow.
But the thing
Tell
I
me more.
find funny is that you cite a source that talks about the benefits of women having children later on in life.
Oh yeah, there's going to be
And how
benefits for
much better
stability
off
and all
these
sorts
children
of things.
It's a
dude.
great source, but it doesn't defend what your original premise was.
It does defend. It defends both, actually, especially when you combine it with the other one that I gave you, which is the global pattern of women's education versus fertility. And again, you can find that from Our World Data. And it links to multiple studies which show you how educational attainment drops the fertility rate. And that makes sense because of the fact that you have a biological clock. What you guys are arguing
also
is...
then,
Well,
can
hang
I
on.
ask
I'm
a
almost done.
genuine
I'm almost
question,
done. I'm
though?
almost done. What you guys are doing is you're arguing, yes,
No,
that's
what
true.
you're doing is you keep talking and saying the same shit over and over
What's-
again. Let
oh.
other people talk. Jesus Christ, sorry.
The only thing on this panel that's
Oh.
interesting is me, bro. Calm down.
Can we bring this back to center? So, like,
Sure.
are you
It's
are
me,
you
bro.
advocating for this to be a thing to solve women's fertility rates in America?
Well, what I'm saying is that if you want to solve fertility rates, then what you're going to have to do is
I think I started
prioritize
a war.
childbirth for women who are in their earlier 20s. If you want to maximize the amount of children that you're going to get, yeah.
Okay, but just to be clear, the study that you're citing or sourcing rather is also
Well,
saying that women.
There's 2 studies that I'm citing.
Right, but I'm talking about the one that Jenna pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
If she's saying that you can also that there's like a net positive for women's fertility rates.
Well, hang on. There could be in some cases, like for instance, IVF would be one. If you look at the, for instance, they're one of the few nations that have above replacement rates, and that's due to a massive, publicly funded IVF program.
My shit's not working.
But the problem is that you see a boost temporarily, and then it begins to decrease, like it's done in.
Jesus, I feel like we're getting into that mechanical. This dude wants to live in the matrix.
That was weird.
What
Women get impregnated by
matrix?
machines.
What are you talking about, dude?
You're a toy, Andrew.
Oh,
I
God,
think we
you
should
got
say
him.
what he
You're a
wants to
toy.
say.
Yeah, you just told me not to
This
say
is
anything because there's other people on
This
the
is hurt
panel
my
who want to talk.
feelings. That's
Make up your mind.
But Jenna, which way did those studies show that women can actually be net positive?
It mentioned increase in economics. Sorry, I lost my train of thought when I came back. 1 second.
Yeah, because I'm even
Why
seeing
is it-
things that are saying that the father, like if the, oh, I'm sorry,
What in the fuck
No,
is
go ahead,
happening
Skip.
right now?
I didn't mean
Yeah,
to-
no, I'm seeing no, you're fine. I'm seeing like
Warlock
if
will
the
get
father
impregnated
does
by a
parental
machine.
leave, right? And kind of takes on. This is going to like different ways that like society takes care of their children. Genuinely, like it's just it's breaking down like if a father takes parental leave and is able to do that and strengthen like their bond and kind of work with their children over a period of time that actually helps. It's going into the thing that Barta brought up with like just overall sense of like, hey, loving community, we're gonna just protect her, whatever. But it doesn't say that. Like there is no direct correlation of this study saying that. Yeah, right. Like right. It says shows a clear positive complement effect of immigrants. I don't know. That's not it. Hold on. I got to go back to the study. Hold on.
All right, hold on. I can't even pay attention to this right now. I need to pull up TBC Petopia. All right, what level is my bites? Level 7. Okay. I know for that. Know for a fact we can get higher gore. What's my gore? 8? At level 64. Dreadfang Spider Widow. So one of these fucking things that I just killed. Wait a minute.
How are you not level 99?
The game won't let me. I'm too good. Oh, this guy has 8. But I can get 9 right now. So Blade's Edge, Raptor. Where's Gore? Claw. Where's Gore? Where's Gore? Where's Gore? Fire Breath? I have level 8. I get 9 at 63, so I get one now. So, Rip Blade Raven. What do they come with? Hold on. 66 from Wolf. They did. Alright, booger. So let's go do all those things. And then I need to get ready for work anyways, so we need to go get our new spells. Kill command and Viper Sting ring 4. Command's gonna be huge. Forget, is there a vendor in here? There is. The upstairs? Fuck, dude. Whatever. We need to go to fucking Oregon anyways. We need to go to Blades Edge Mountains. I just realized that my shit changed. I was on Warlock. What the fuck? Oh, 128.
What do you need?
Alright, so now we gotta make our macro. So, rank 4, cool. I want to be able to. There's no GCD with it, so here's what I'm gonna do. Beast Mastery, right? I'm gonna put it there for now. And then theoretically should work, I think, because it doesn't share a GCD. And then I need to have like a command thing or something. Kill command. Shot. That technically, theoretically should work, I believe, because it doesn't share a GCD, right? That's so cheap on mana too. Like, what in the fuck? Give a command to kill, causing your pet to instantly attack for an additional 127 damage. Can only be used after the hunter lands a critical strike on the target. Perfect. Yeah, automatically agility is better than attack power because agility gets crit, attack power just gives base DPS, and agility also gives attack power, so... And it's scalable. More so. I need to go to Blade's Edge Mountain. I need to go to chat. Only by mage 4 to chat. Look at those bots, dude. Where you at, dude? Where you at? You in the auction house? Thanks, buddy boop. Are you gonna say anything to you? Because you're a fucking bot, pretty much. Alright, so now we need to get to Blade's Edge Mountains, but I need a stable master. I forget how to get here. I think it's this cave. And then there's a town up here. And there is a stable master, and there's a flight pass. We need to get there. So we need to fly
Each day is a blessing.
Womp Post, I think, if I remember correctly.
Remember the lessons of the past.
This is the way we want. Yeah.
Open your heart to the light. Safe
All right, I gotta find this wolf. Do that wolf. Oh, perfect. You're right where I need you to be. Okay, and then four. Four, rank 9. These fuckers are all over here. Okay, so the wolf should be literally right in here, and then these Ravengers are right in here. Okay. Look how cool Blade's Edge Mountains looks. That just looks cool.
It's legit.
TBC and Wrath is literally the two best expansions. Like, they're just so cool. I don't like TBC as far as like like certain, like my favorite class is Ret Paladin of all time, but I don't like Ret Paladin in this expansion. However, I love Hunter. But I don't know, certain class design is not the greatest, but like the zones are just so good. Knock me off my mount. That's a big spider bitch. What the fuck? Fucking spiders. Imagine if you saw a spider in real life this big. That's not my wolf that I need. Doesn't even tell me. Addon doesn't even tell me what. No, somebody killed him. Don't kill me. You guys are gonna kill me. Fine. You guys killed the wolf. My bite, my max bite. I think it's a quest. Alright, we'll come back. We need to get the flight path. We'll get the Ravenger. Wrath is definitely my favorite. This is my second favorite expansion, I think. The more I think about it. Like, holistically. It's not my favorite arena expansion. My favorite arena is going to be, like... probably Wrath. Rexar. What's up, dude? Champion of the Horde, dude. My brother. Alright, Stable Master.
Blood and thunder.
Broken Tooth. I need to get rid of my boar. I got Broken Tooth still. Bye, boar. Nice knowing you, dude. For abandoning you. Abandon! Alright, I haven't tamed in so long. We need to go down here. Grand is my favorite zone. I can't wait to go there. I like all the zones. Actually, the only zone that I don't like is Netherstorm.
Nagrand asshole.
I like all the zones. I really don't care for Netherstorm. Hellfire Peninsula is really good too. I like the Hellfire a lot. But these two, Blade's Edge is up there. Yeah, good shit. I want to kill you so bad, but can't. Where's my wolf? I will terrorize you all in the future. Hey, buddy, there you are. How do I have to fight you? How do I? Oh, you must be a quest. Fuck. I kind of sort of came here for no reason, huh? All right. Rip Blade Ravager is what we need. What's the other thing we need? Oh, what? Oh, you're AFK. I could totally kill you. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So we just need to go get that widow from Urquhart for us. Blade Ravager, there it is, dude. It's a cool looking one. We're gonna get Booger back, so. Now we must train you, my friend. We must make you happy first. Okay, a little bit happier. Can I train you off of the Chamon?
First blood.
Oh. Command, baby. So it does work. Cool. Did you learn rank 9 4? He's doing it. Full command. It's being pressed. Damn, that shit kind of hurts. Have not hit it yet. Dude, can you like learn gore and get rid of you? Please? Oops. Oh, I do have it. Okay. So when the fuck did I learn it? I can abandon you now?
Strength and honor.
Oh, no way. I don't have enough points. That's so annoying. And there's no hunter trainer out in fucking Outlands. Gotta go back to fucking... Oh my god, dude. So annoying, dude. I ain't gonna have time for this, dude. Need to go back to Terrakar Forest anyways. Might as well stable you.
How?
Ah.
Peace, friend.
Yeah. Peace.
Goodbye.
All right, where's this fucking widow? All around the edges. Here. Okay. All right, I gotta get ready for work.
waste my time, lesser creature.
now. How he's gonna approach it to me, he's gonna approach it very businessy. He's gonna say, I think your market value is $1,000. I'm gonna say, and party. I can't respond to that by saying, well, no, because I make more than that. But yeah, work. What do you know back of the house? What? Guarantee. A little bit. I don't know as much as like. I was gonna say. I'm saying no. I'm gonna try to be hard. I'm gonna try to say that. guys here? Yeah. How long is it? Especially out. But where I did party back in the was getting stuck on a party with someone. That was I just started. So, party. Oh, what now? Both now. Accident. So when you're doing a party, oh, wait. So like, if that's not So button, fireball, that button, the fire button, fire out that. Oh, okay. Drew is actually.
shit, I forgot I left my shit on.